Only going to be in spots where you see like a smooth section that's shiny. It's very tightly adhered to the underlying tissue. Move the brain this way. These ridges are called gyri. The grooves are called sulci. One, a singular sulcus. Singular, this is gyrus. Right? This is a very deep fissure, though, which is why it's called a longitudinal fissure as opposed to a sulcus. Right? Because it's much deeper and longer. Here we have the lateral sulcus. Right? And as you look at this brain, this is the anterior end, this is the posterior end. It's easy to tell because the posterior end has the cerebellum hanging off it. All right? Now, as you look at this lateral side here, you can try to find two gyri that are running parallel to each other in a superior to inferior direction. Most of the other gyri on here do not do that. It's just how you locate it. The sulcus running between these two gyri is the central sulcus. All right? The gyrus anterior to the central sulcus is the precentral gyrus. The gyrus posterior to the central sulcus is the postcentral gyrus. Excuse me. You can actually feel a little notch right back here more easily when you can see it. And that in another deep fissure, which is another fissure over here. Draw a line between there, and you've defined the occipital lobe back here on the posterior end. Between this imaginary line and the central sulcus is the parietal lobe, and anterior to the central sulcus is going to be the frontal lobe. All right? The temporal lobe is below the lateral sulcus. All right? The precentral gyrus is the primary motor area. It initiates voluntary movement. Okay? Postcentral gyrus is the primary sensory area. Right? There's raw sensory data coming in. This part of the brain does not identify what it is you're touching. Right? This is primarily the touch. Sight is back in the occipital lobe. Smell is over here in the anterior part of the temporal lobe. Hearing is on the upper ridge of the temporal lobe. All right? The primary sensory organisms. The motor cortex just initiates movement. The cerebellum is responsible for coordinating it. All right? Like when you practice the violin, you're actually training the cerebellum to coordinate those movements in order to play correctly. All right? The cerebellum is one of the areas most affected by alcohol, and that's why people go staggering around when they get drunk, because the cerebellum is no longer able to coordinate their movements. You can see some cranial nerves. The olfactory nerves are actually little axons that come through to the brain from the upper portion of the respiratory cavity. All right? Now, do you all remember the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone? Mm-hmm. Right? Those little holes on the cribriform plate are where the olfactory nerve fibers come through. All right? Those end in the olfactory bulb, which is right here, and then there's the olfactory tract going back toward cortex back here. Right? That's the first cranial nerve and its associated structures. The second cranial nerve is the optic nerve. Right? One coming from one eye, one from the other eye. When they come together here in the middle, half of the fibers from each nerve will cross over to the other side, and they'll form the optic tracts. Right? The third cranial nerve is right here, comes up between the two cerebral peduncles, and that's the oculomotor nerve. All right? The fourth cranial nerve on here is completely ripped off. You won't be able to see it. This structure here, this bump, is the pons. Emerging from the middle of the pons on the lateral side is a large trigeminal nerve, or the fifth cranial nerve. See that? You can't see it well. This little one coming up here at the bottom edge of the pons is the sixth cranial nerve, or the abducens nerve. And then as you follow this crease right here, you hit the seventh and eighth cranial nerves. Right? Then in a little line going back like this, you'll only be able to distinguish them. You get 9, 10, and 11, and then 12 is coming out right in here, right through there. Okay. This portion of the brain with the cerebral peduncles is called the midbrain. Again, this is the pons, and this is the medulla oblongata. Questions?
Optic chiasm?
Optic chiasm. Here's the optic nerves coming in. Half of each nerve fibers will cross right here across the midline. That's the chiasm. Hmm?
Do we have to measure?
Yeah, we just got the handout tonight.
Do we have to know where, like 9, like 10, 11, 12, do we have to know where those are, like the general area, or just what those mean?
Well, we don't have, well, the one brain kind of shows them separately, but we'll probably just let them be defined as 9, 10, 11. All right, because it's pretty hard to distinguish unless you're